Hello friends, Donna here. Welcome to my channel, welcome to the classroom, and welcome to this tutorial on making the letter S. Had a lot of people asking about those letters, the curvy letters, because that one tutorial I showed you on making raised cane pretty much tells you how to make those straight line letters, how to map them out and how to make them. I think you got that. Now we need to understand the curvy letters. And what is the curviest letter of all? Of course, it's the letter S. Now, if you're making an alphabet, like I am going to make an alphabet, I want my letters to be the same. In other words, I want the lines that make the letters to be the same thickness, and I want them to be the same size and basically the same scale. I don't want a huge A, a tiny B, a medium-sized C, and so forth. That's not what I want. So in order to do that, of course, the initial cane we make has to be pretty much the same size and the same scale, so that when I want to make a smaller word, I will just reduce each of the letters the same, and then I will have that uniformity that I need. I won't end up with really, really skinny lines in one letter and really, really thick ones in another, okay? So it's creating a standard. And if you're going to make an alphabet, then you want to start with the letter S. Well, I want to start with the letter S because it's the most difficult for me to make, even though it's not too difficult. But making the letter S is going to establish the standard that we will follow in making the rest of the letters. I hope that makes sense. Okay, we're ready to get started, so let's go. All right, so here you see white clay. It's quite soft, it's very fresh. And I have rolled this through setting number 3. This is my black clay. It was a little stiffer, so I took some conditioning bar, ta-ta, and I softened it. It's not as soft as the white, but, you know, it's closer. I wanted it a bit closer. Now, I am just going to cut that much. And from now on in my alphabet, I will be rolling my white letter clay through setting number 3. So I have to make a mental note. Now we're just going to sandwich this, okay? So we got a white clay sandwich between 2 sheets of black clay. I may not use all of this. We'll see. So this is a departure from that thing we were doing with the R and the N, which was to cut into the slab. Well, with these curves, I just think it's easier to build it this way. And we're building it very differently. And that's also why we start with it, because the other letters will be built more conventionally. Okay, so this is what's going to happen here. Now, this is way big. I mean, I would have enough S for like the rest of my life and into my second life. So, hello. I know I'm not going to need all of it. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to roll this into a nice cylinder, a nice thick snake. Okay. Okay, so I took my clay, rolled it into a long strip, and now I am just going to roll it up. Hello. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. So let's just make it small. I know that I don't want an S kind of this big. I want it smaller. Smaller. So I'm just going to reduce it out, make it thinner. Dun, dun, dun. Doink a doink. And let's see what this looks like. Still strikes me as pretty big. Yeah, you know what? It's gonna be a big S. Big S. It doesn't need to be this big. Okay, the larger this is, the thinner this line is, right? So let us see what's cooking now. Not bad. I still have enough S for life. And then back this way. Like that. Haha. All right. That looks pretty good. It is big. Okay, well, let me just cut this. Set the old snaky aside. And there's the mark. Like that. Right? Okay, well, there is an S. If I continue this way, this S is going to be very, very large. Really big. Big, big, big letter. I'm not sure I want it this big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it apart. And I am going to reduce these snakes. And they stuck, but I could still get them off, I believe. I believe in miracles. Hello. Oh, come on. Are you not going to cooperate? Dang. Sometimes if you just pull really, really slow, you can get it off. But I'm not having success because I softened it so much. I didn't think I softened it that much, but I must have. Now, see, it's coming off easier now. Urgh. Okay. Well, that's not good. Like, right? This I can heal up, I believe. I don't like the way that looks. Got an air bubble. So you know what? I'm going to make this a lot smaller. I'm cutting right there. A lot smaller. And, you know, I don't want to reduce it. I don't want to reduce the thickness of this line. I want that line that same thickness. So let's just see if I can do it. There are no guarantees. I have found that out. I haven't made a lot of S's. Okay, so let's see. Oh, and I got a bad crack on the back. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I have a decision to make. Do I think I can actually heal this? Or is it going to be a huge issue? Am I going to find that I have wasted a lot of clay? Or is it going to be okay? I mean, sometimes it's at this point that you go, oh, I think I'll go get a snack. And you think, maybe I should just start again tomorrow. Personally, I think it's going to be okay because this black sheet was not very thin. It's quite thick. And I've healed it up nicely on the outside, crossing my fingers that it's healed up nicely on the inside. Okay, so let me take this guy. And reduce this. Okay, so you can just imagine if I'm having kind of this much trouble making the S or these many decisions as I make the S, and I'm not even trying to match other letters, how difficult it might be if you were actually trying to match other letters you had made. It gets more difficult. That's why we're starting with the S. Because that matching part, that can get pretty difficult. If you've made like every letter but S and then you're trying to make the S, like, oh no. Then you have a 10-day cane. Okay. All right, so that looks good to me. Now, I have to fill those little spaces in there, of course. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a larger piece like this. So I want to straighten this out. Make sure this line is straight and not distorted. Okay. So let's fill that space up. I'm going to move this. I do not want to ruin my RSC cane. And let us cut this in half. Then cut the half in half. Then I'm going to take and slide this guy right in there. Okay. Filling up that space. Oops. Wrong side. Now, let's do the same on this side. Just fill that in so there's no air. Cane looks a little thinner on this side than on this side. How'd I do that? Okay, let's pull that down. Doink a doink a doink a doink. All right. Okay. Now I have to fill that space. Doink a doink. Just tuck it right down in there and push. And let's do the same on this side. All right. Okay, so this is not too bad. Let's see, I see a little there. So it may get worse as I'm going down the cane. It may get worse. So, you know what, I'm going to continue anyway so you guys can see how much worse it gets. There's a lesson in everything, right? And for me, I will make another one properly without the cracks later. Okay, so this sheet has also been rolled through setting 3. And what I'm going to do with this is simply try to square the whole thing off. All right. So I'm just going to start wrapping it. And I always over wrap. I put more clay and then I cut the excess away. Places like that, they really do need to be tightened up. You saw how that was gapping out. A place like that, I'll just try to push the clay right there in the crevice. In the little crevice. And I just roll, I wrap. So I'll just wrap a couple times and then I'll be back. And then we will trim everything away. Okay, so I've wrapped it all, and I've wrapped it with this thinner sheet because honestly, when you've got an irregular shape like this, it's a little bit easier to tuck the clay into those irregular crevices, those little places, those little spots, than it is if I had rolled with setting number 0 on my atlas. Make sense? Yep. All right, so the center of the cane, the S, excuse me, if I drew a line right through it, it's probably right there. See? Can you see that? Now, it's easy to get thrown by the overall shape because it's kind of off this way and it's kind of lopsided, isn't it? So it might help if you first just try to isolate and look at the S alone and then find out where that center line that runs from the top of the S to the bottom. That might make it easier when it gets to the point where you want to cut a square around the S, right? Like so. Now I'm looking to cut something that's parallel with the center line here. And then it's got to be parallel to the center line on the other side of the S. All right, so you can see that I kind of lightly indicated where the 4 sides of the S are. Now we're going to do the same thing on this side. Now it's a little more difficult because, you know, letters kind of get, well, all of our canes, when we make them, they kind of get torqued a little. They're not absolutely the same from the bottom to the top or the top to the bottom. So I'm just going to do my best with this side, like so. Now I'm cutting it perpendicular to the center line. This cut is perpendicular. Now I will make a line that's parallel. Make a mark that's parallel to that center, like so. Parallel to the center again on the other side of the S. Okay. Now, in other instances, I've made drop lines. And maybe it's a good idea to go ahead and make a drop line. Now, what is a drop line? It's when you take, see where this line runs off of the cane, the side of the cane? I'm going to find that very spot right there, and I'm going to connect it to the opposite line, which is like right here, right there. So these two get connected like that. See that line? Now, they don't look perfectly, well, it looks like the cut is going off to the side, doesn't it? I think that's that same torquing kind of thing that happens with the cane and the image. So what that means is this image has moved a little bit like that way. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so let's find the other. And then where the other drop line is, which is right here, like so. So this appears also to be off. You know, they're both sort of angled in the same direction. Okay, now I'm going to use these drop lines and I'm going to follow them as I cut down. Now, Sandra McCaw is the cane artist who kind of taught everybody this. And it's basically walking the cane through the clay, following those drop lines. Well, I don't know if she uses drop lines. She must use drop lines. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just going side to side. I'm looking on one side, right side, cut a little bit. Look on the left, cut. Look on the right, cut. Look on the left, cut. Right, cut. Left, right. And take your time. My blade is good. Stuck. Come on. Come on, blade. You can do it. Maybe I made the black clay too soft. Yeah, who knows? All right, so that's the first cut. And this I will fill. See how it's kind of not filled? All right, so let's make the next cut. I will go to the other side. Find out where that line falls off to the side. Then I will take this, indicate where the same thing is happening on the other side, and then connect them like that. Repeat on the other side. Here it is, boink. And here is the corresponding line on the other side. Connect them, and those are my 2 cut lines. All right, I'm going to do some walking again. See, I didn't quite follow the line because my blade was sticking. Funny, 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 funny. Okay, so let's do the same thing on this side. This is the line I indicated here. And, you know, it's looking a little crooked to me. It's looking quite crooked, actually. So I'm going to make the adjustment there. This one as well. And I think some of that might be the cutting. You know, when you cut with a blade, the clay moves, so it's pulling the clay in a particular direction. Now, these lines look great. It's just these lines that aren't looking so fantastic. So let's connect. Actually, I want to lower this line a bit. It seems too close to the letter. Okay, so there's one mark. And here is the other. Let's walk. Okay. That's not too bad. All right. Now let's do the same thing on this side. Doink. Doink. Connect the two. Turn it over. Is that you? Okay. All right. Okay. Down we go again. Doink. All right, so there's the S, the upside down S, the backwards S. You can see it's smaller on one side than the other, but that may be a function of my decision of where to cut on this side, right? Because I didn't measure or anything. I just said, okay, this looks good. And off I went. Now, how big a problem is this going to be? I had better put a little bit of clay there, which is easy enough to do. Just going to take a little sheet here and press it right down in there. And I may have to trim it. That'll be okay. Okay, here we go. But it was important that I fill that space. All right, so let's try just cutting away and leaving the clay in the space. I'm just trying to cut the clay to the right and left of that space. Sometimes that's just shaving a bit here or there. Now, I don't think this little dip is going to be much of a problem, but we must do the same thing on this side. And I did roll this clay, so let's just try to fill it in. Actually, maybe I'll just use this little piece. It doesn't even have to be a whole piece. It just has to go in and fill that space. Yeah, that's better. Don't use a whole sheet, just a whole piece. Just take a little strip, and then it should be quite a bit easier to cut the excess away. Like so. Let's see. I got little goobies here. What the heck? Where did you come from? Gooby. Little gooby. Okay, so what do we know? We know that our letters, the letter has been rolled through setting 3. I will make a notation of that because every letter after this will be rolled through setting 3. The second thing we have to know is we have to know the height of the letter, not of the block, of the letter. Because when we build the letters after this, they have to be the same height. So the letter is, oh my God, just a little bit shy of an inch. So indicate that too. But you know what's a good idea? This. Well, first of all, they're different sizes, aren't they? They are different sizes. Well, let's measure this side. The letter on this side is 1 1/16 of an inch. Okay, so I would say 1 inch. I would say 1 inch. This side was just a tad shy of an inch. This side, 1 1/16. I think if you just make all your letters 1 inch tall, you're going to be plenty close enough. If they're all rolled through, if all your white clay or your letter clay is rolled through setting 3, then they're all going to be the same scale. Okay? But it is helpful. May be helpful. I'm just trying to clean up the sides here. To just take a slice and bake it. Okay? Just bake it and keep it. That's kind of your control for the rest of the letters you make. All right, so let me reduce this out and let's see what happened in here, okay? So I will be back. The clay's nice and soft, so this will not take long. I will just mush it around in my hands. Take my acrylic rod and do a little bit of this action. Stretch it out, and then I will show you what we have because we're going to start cutting it apart. All right, so I reduced it out a bit. Let's take a cut from the center. We just want to see how badly the letter was affected by that crumble, the crack in the black clay. And I see that it was some, but it's not really bad. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. Not sure this is the best S that's ever been made. Not sure about that. So let's take a look. And what is wrong with this S? Well, it looks a little, I don't know, having trouble looking at this. I think maybe this end could have come up just a bit, like that. Just a bit. Let me look at my other S. Okay, I'm going to reduce this further. Let's see what it looks like even smaller. All right, so I reduced it. Let's take a look at what it looks like when it's reduced. I think this is fine. This is a fine S. Okay, so that is really the hardest curvy letter. So I know that in building the rest of the alphabet, my line thickness will be setting number 3. The total height of each letter should be 1 inch. And if I do that, then I will have letters that are the same scale as the S I've made. Okay? Had to start with the most difficult one and move to the simplest. All right, so I hope this has made sense to you, and you can now go forward and make your curvy S. I will be doing more letters shortly. You know, letters like O, Q, G, C, even D. They're very, very much the same. So that will be the next letter class. Until then, I'm Donna Kato. Bye.